Okay, and this is my lobster roach tank, and it's I think a 24 quart Sterilite bin, um, easily, available at any department store. Again, I use the aluminum tape. I cut the lid out to put a screen in, and I use that aluminum tape to kind of go around, and that keeps any insects from getting into the container, like ants or anything I don't want in there, like flies and stuff. And it also keeps any of the first instar nymphs that happen to be able to get out. So these guys do need a barrier. I have about 3 to 4 inch Vaseline barrier in there, and that keeps them completely contained. Every once in a while, a first star nymph will get out, and that's why this tape is useful, because that'll trap them. You can see one stuck there along with the stink bug that tried to get in. But, that won't let anything get out into your house, so that keeps them, relatively contained. Same deal, screen top, cocoa fiber base, mist about twice a week or so, and with the lobster roaches, because they can climb, they're a little more troublesome as a feeder. Just because you have to worry about them getting out of your feeder tank, or whatever you're feeding it to, rather. The best thing I can say is to feed them from a tong, or a bowl that has Vaseline around it. Just something that kind of keeps it contained, because they will get out of your, say you have a bearded dragon, they will be able to get out of there real easy. These guys breed about as well as lobster roach, or the Turkestan roach, but not quite as prolific. Normally in my bins, I don't use these egg crate things. You can see this one's really kind of getting moldy and old, and I hate using these things. They absorb the moisture, and they're a mold breeding ground. And I'm actually I don't know if you can hear me sniffing here, but I'm actually allergic to mold. Not cockroaches at all, but the mold I am. So that gets kind of annoying, because that mold is in my lungs then, and I'll be, have a runny nose, and I'll be coughing a little bit. It's just something I want to avoid. So I use these corkboard sheets, which I get at a office supply store. You tack things up on your wall on these. I just break them up and throw them in my bin. They don't grow mold. They last a really long time. This has been in here about a year and a half now. You see there's no mold growing on it. And, it gets a little damp here and there, but it works really well. This has been in here for just a couple months, and it's already destroyed and moldy and gross. So I'm actually going to get rid of that and replace it with probably an actual piece of cork bark, which will be a lot better for these guys. And you can see the Vaseline keeps them really well contained. They can't get up over it. They fall down as soon as they hit it. And again, these are the, relatively small feeder roach. They're good for, things like bearded dragons, and the small nymphs are good for mantids and stuff like that. They can't really fly. You can see that one just kind of like hovered down there. They fly like a chicken. You don't have to worry about them flying out. You can actually leave these completely open to the air. You don't need to even screen them. As long as you have that Vaseline on there, they're not getting out. You might have the occasional one like that was on the lid there, but they're real easy to get rid of if they do get out of your tank at all. They desiccate really fast. So that's my lobster colony. Again, just like my Turkestans, I feed them probably... Well, these guys actually feed a little less. I feed them once a week. Usually it's an apple and a handful of dog food of some sort, just so they get some protein. And again, I don't use water gel. I just mist twice a week or so if I can. These guys, they do really well in most conditions. They do dry out a little faster, but overall they're a pretty versatile feeder, and I like using them just because they're an interesting cockroach in general. Really, I like watching them. And they stridulate. I don't know if you can see if I can get an adult here and get him to do it. It's like a squeaking noise. I can grab one. See if I can get it to make that noise. I don't know if you can hear it there. And that's stridulation. They're just grinding their pronotum against their wings, I guess. It's just kind of an alert noise, gets them, throws off some enemies and stuff like that, I guess. Something that's going to eat them in the wild. It's kind of like a hissing cockroach, same idea. Except for hissing cockroaches actually expel air out of their like lung tubes or whatever you want to call them. So these are how I keep my lobsters. They're really simple to take care of. They make good feeders. They breed really well. These are live bearing. They don't lay egg cases, so the substrate's usually pretty clean. And the nymphs are obviously pretty abundant in here. So they make good feeders for most small insects and medium to small lizards. Alright, I'm going to move on to the next. I'm going to actually go with the hissers next, speaking of which. So I'll see you then.